Welcome back guys. Now in this video let's discuss about how the divalent cations means the positive ions, how the divalent cations like calcium, that is Ca2 plus, and magnesium Mg2 plus. So how calcium and magnesium are reabsorbed and where they are reabsorbed. Okay. Now before that you need to know the ascending limb of loop of Henle. It is having a positive luminal potential. It's having a positive charge, positive potential in its lumen, and how it is established and how that positive potential is helping in the reabsorption of calcium and magnesium. Okay. Now let's start our topic. Guys, we know this is the ascending limb of loop of Henle, and I have taught you the ascending limb of loop of Henle. It is having which potential? See, it is having positive potential, which I have marked with the red color. Okay, it's having the positive potential. Now how that positive potential is established is, see, we have already discussed in the topic of ascending limb of loop of Henle that there is this one transporter which is present, and what is the function of this transporter? This transporter is reabsorbing sodium into the cell, potassium into the cell, and 2 chloride ions into the cell. So what is the transporter? It is sodium potassium 2 chlorine symporter. Now let's discuss what is the fate of sodium that have entered into the cell, and what is the fate of chlorine, and what is the fate of potassium. See, whatever the sodium coming into the cell, this sodium will go out of the cell with the help of this transporter which is present on the basolateral membrane. See, there is one more transporter which is present on the basolateral membrane. What is this transporter, sir? It is bringing sodium ions into the cell and throwing out the potassium out with the help of ATP. So what is this? This is sodium potassium ATPase, which is present on most of our cells. Okay, in the same way, sodium potassium ATPase is present on the basolateral membrane of the epithelial cells which are present on the ascending limb of loop of Henle. Now, whatever the sodium coming into the cell, it is leaving out of the cell. So for sodium there is no problem. And whatever the chlorine, okay, whatever these chloride ions coming into the cell, entering into the cell, they are also going to leak into the medullary interstitium with the help of chloride channels. Now, where exactly the problem comes is with the potassium. See, whatever the potassium coming into the cell, see, there is one way for the potassium to enter into the cell. This is one way by which potassium is entering into the cell. First way. Now, if you closely look here, the sodium potassium ATPase, it is also bringing the potassium into the cell. So, potassium is coming into the cell via the sodium potassium 2 chlorine symporter as well as sodium potassium ATPase. So what happens to this potassium? Potassium is accumulating in the cell too much. So what nature have done? Nature have provided certain leaky channels. Okay, nature what it is doing? It have created the leaky channels through which the excessive potassium is leaking into the lumen again. The potassium ions are again going to leak back into the lumen of ascending limb of loop of Henle. So from every cell, this excessive potassium is leaking back into the lumen. So potassium is a positive charge. As the positive charges are leaking back into the lumen, now in this luminal area, it is having a positive potential. So positive potential in ascending limb of loop of Henle is because of the leaking of potassium. Okay. Now what happens? See, this is descending limb of loop of Henle, right? We know. So this is descending limb of loop of Henle. Now in the descending limb of loop of Henle, calcium is coming and magnesium is coming. Okay. The calcium ions and magnesium ions, they are coming down the loop of Henle, descending limb of loop of Henle. Now they are turning in the hairpin turn, and now whenever they reach the ascending limb of loop of Henle, now what happens? Whenever they reach the ascending limb of loop of Henle, already here there is positive charge and these ions are the positive ions. So positive charge will repel the positive ions. So the positive charges are being repelled. So what happens? Can the positive charges move in this direction? No, the positive charges cannot move up. So most of the positive charges will be reabsorbed. So the positive charges, like the positive charges, I mean the calcium and the magnesium ions. The calcium and magnesium ions are repelled back. So this calcium and magnesium are reabsorbed into the interstitium via paracellular route. Means in between the cells, these calcium and magnesium find their way into the medullary interstitium. This is how calcium and magnesium are reabsorbed. Okay. Now, let's take a scenario where we are using loop diuretics and where we are using thiazide diuretics. What happens if we use loop diuretics and what happens if we use thiazide diuretics? Okay. Before that, please concentrate on the text which I have written here. Ascending limb of loop of Henle have a positive lumen potential which helps in reabsorption of cations like calcium and magnesium. Yes. Now after this, see what I am using in this condition. I have used a drug called as loop diuretic. Examples of loop diuretics are furosemide, bumetanide, torsemide, ethacrenic acid. Okay, these are the loop diuretics. Now whenever you use loop diuretics, what happens? They block the sodium potassium 2 chloride importers. When sodium potassium 2 chloride importers are blocked, what happens? Sodium is not entering into the cell, potassium is not entering into the cell, and chloride ions are also not entering into the cell. Now, when potassium is not entering into the cell, will it leak out of the cell? Not right. So, potassium is not entering into the cell. So, there is no excessive potassium within the cell. Now, what happens when potassium is not leaking into the lumen? Will the lumen have positive charge? Just tell me. No, the positive luminal potential is not there. So, whenever you use drugs like loop diuretics, so what happens? The positive lumen potential of the ascending limb of loop of Henle is gone. Whenever there is no positive luminal potential, can calcium and magnesium are reabsorbed in paracellular route? Is it possible for the cations to be reabsorbed? No. So, what happens? All the calcium is going to come out in the urine. So, using loop diuretics will increase the calcium excretion or not? Yes. So, if a person is using loop diuretics, calcium reabsorption is going to be decreased, calcium is going to be lost in the urine. So, causes calciuria. So, in a one single way or in a one single statement, try to remember like loop diuretics loop out the calcium from the body. Loop out means remove the calcium, throw the calcium out of the body. Okay. So, loop diuretics loop out the calcium as well as magnesium. So, if all the calcium is going out of the body, what happened to the serum calcium levels? Serum calcium levels are going to be decreased. So, loop diuretics decreases the serum levels of calcium. Okay. So, this is what happens if you use loop diuretics. Now, let's take one more scenario where we are using thiazide diuretics. Before discussing about the thiazide diuretics, let's have a recap about the transporters which are present on distal convoluted tubule. Right now we are discussing about the distal convoluted tubule. Now I have already taught you in a DCT epithelial cell, you are having sodium chloride symporter which is reabsorbing sodium ion as well as chloride ion. Guys, loop diuretics are acting on ascending limb of loop of Henle. Right now we are discussing about the distal convoluted tubule and thiazide diuretics. Why? Because thiazide diuretics acts on distal convoluted tubule. Okay. See, here the first transporter is sodium chloride symporter. Sodium ions are being reabsorbed as well as the chloride ions are being reabsorbed together. Now there is this one more transporter which is called as TRPV5. We have discussed transient receptor potential vanilloid calcium channel. Okay. So TRPV5 which uses ATP and helps in reabsorption of calcium. Now these two transporter number 1 as well as transporter number 2, both of them are present on the luminal membrane. Now the transporter number 3 is called as sodium calcium exchanger. It is bringing the sodium into the cell, throwing the calcium out of the cell. That's the third transporter. Now the fourth transporter is a common transporter which is present on each and every cell. What is it? It is sodium, potassium, ATPase, throwing the sodium out and bringing the potassium in. Now, what happens if you use thiazide diuretics? How the calcium reabsorption is going to be affected? Will more calcium be affected? Will more calcium reabsorption happen or less calcium reabsorption happens? We know if you use loop diuretics, calcium reabsorption is not happening, magnesium reabsorption is not happening. So all these divalent cations are going to be lost in the urine. But what happens if you use thiazide diuretics? Now we know thiazide diuretics are going to inhibit which transporter? This transporter. Okay, the first transporter, sodium chloride importer, is going to be affected. Okay, see, I am showing you in this image. What is the drug that I have used? Thiazide diuretic. Now what this thiazide diuretic is doing? I have already taught you. See, thiazide diuretic is inhibiting. It is inhibiting the sodium chloride importer. Now just tell me, if sodium chloride importer is inhibited, means sodium ions are entering into the cell. Just tell me. Sodium ions are not entering into the cell. The sodium concentration in the cell is going to be decreased. Now who is bringing the sodium into the cell? Just tell me. Sir, into this DCT epithelial cell, the sodium is entering into the cell via this sodium chloride importer. Why? Because, please concentrate. Sodium is entering into the cell. Normally, sodium is entering into the cell. There is one more way for the entry of sodium into the cell. What is that? See, this sodium calcium exchanger also bringing the sodium into the cell. Okay. Now, if you block this sodium chloride importer, what happened to the intracellular sodium levels? The intracellular sodium levels start to decrease. Now, is that good? Definitely not. This is not good. So, who is going to act more now? Who is going to work more now? Now, the sodium calcium exchanger or the sodium calcium antiporter, now it will start to act more. It will start to work more, to bring more and more sodium into the cell. Now it will work more and try to compensate to bring more and more sodium into the cell. Now during that process, see, it's not only bringing the sodium into the cell, at that time it is also throwing the calcium out of the cell. Okay, so to bring more sodium into the cell, it have to throw more calcium out of the cell. Okay, now more calcium is being thrown out. Now, if it have to throw more calcium out, it need to have calcium, right? Okay, intracellularly, this exchanger need to have calcium. Now, where that calcium is coming? Now, to provide the calcium for this exchanger, now this channel, what is this channel? This is TRPV5 calcium channel. Now this TRPV5 calcium channel will work more and it will provide the necessary calcium for the sodium calcium exchanger. Now what's happening? Let's put it one by one. First, what we have done? We have used the thiazide diuretics. Whenever we use the thiazide diuretics will block sodium calcium importer. Now what happens? Intracellular sodium levels. Now intracellular sodium levels are going to get decreased. When intracellular sodium levels, when it start to get decreased, is that good? Definitely not. So who should work more to increase the intracellular sodium levels? Now the sodium calcium exchanger should have to work more to bring more sodium into the cell. Now if it have to bring sodium into the cell, calcium should be thrown out of the cell. Right, for every sodium molecule entering into the cell, one calcium molecule need to be thrown out of the cell. Now what this sodium calcium exchanger is doing, it is working more and more, it is bringing more and more sodium into the cell, there is no doubt. At the same time, calcium is going out. Now this calcium is coming from where? It's coming from the sodium, it's coming from the calcium ATPase or TRPV5 channel. So this calcium, whatever is going out, the calcium whatever is going out, it is being provided, okay, from the TRPV5 channel. Now this channel will work more and takes the more and more calcium into the cell. All the calcium whatever was coming into the cell, that is used by the sodium calcium exchanger. So the sodium calcium exchanger is throwing all this calcium out. At the same time, it is bringing the sodium into the cell. So what happened? If you use thiazide diuretics, at the end of the day, what happened is this TRPV5 channel is activated. Now it is reabsorbing more and more calcium. When more and more calcium is reabsorbing, what happened to the blood calcium levels? Blood calcium levels are going to be increased. So Please understood. Loop diuretics loop out the calcium from the body. Loop diuretics decrease the calcium amount in the body, but thiazide diuretics increase the calcium reabsorption. So I have written here, please take a note, thiazides increase the calcium reabsorption, so can be preferred in treating the renal stones. It's true, right? So all the calcium is being reabsorbed back. All the calcium is getting reabsorbed. So less amount of calcium is going into the renal pelvis, less amount of calcium is going into the ureters. So if less amount of calcium is going into the renal pelvis and ureters, so what happens to the incidence of stone formation? Definitely going to decrease. So in those persons who are suffering with recurrent stones, recurrent renal stones or recurrent nephrolithiasis, so which drugs we are going to use? We are going to use thiazide diuretics. Why? Because thiazide diuretics increase the calcium reabsorption. So less amount of calcium is going to the renal pelvis and ureters. So the incidence of stone formation is going to be decreased. Okay. So this is how the calcium and magnesium reabsorption happens, and we have discussed how the loop diuretics are going to affect the reabsorption of the divalent cations, and also we have discussed how thiazide diuretics are going to increase the calcium reabsorption. Hope the video is helpful. See you with the next topic. Thank you.